It's cooler review day. Again. So yes, it is cooler review day. Now, this is the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 Pro 280. Now in this video, you'd seen the title, we're saying that we've tested the 240 and the 360 as well. Yes, we tested them all at the same time because, funnily enough, I was doing a build to a friend of mine, so I got the 360 version of that for his machine. And while I was at it, I really like the look of it, and I'm in the process of redoing my media server stroke editing machine at home. So I needed a 280, so I thought, why not? Let's get that as well. And but enough, Chris was redoing his media server stroke editor as well, so he bought the 240. And when we spoke, we realised we had the Grand Slam, and we thought we'll bring it all in, we'll do some testing. Now we've done that previously, we did that on another day when we had some time, and I've come back to this when I've had a bit more time to come back and do the filming. So unfortunately the 240 and the 360 are already in other systems, but I haven't got round to doing mine yet, so that at least enables me to bring this in and go through it a little bit. So we'll have a little look at the actual radiator and the cold plate. Only difference between the 240, 280, 360 is the length of the rad. So the 240, 240mm, 280, 280mm, and the 360, 360. This will have two 140mm fans, the 240, two 120mm fans, and the 360, three 120mm fans. All of these coolers, all of these radiators are 38mm thick. That was a common bit across the top, and it will be the same pump and cold head, etc. Now, you can get these with RGB. The 360 I put in a friend system, that was RGB, so you end up with RGB fans, and this little contraption, this lights up. It doesn't spin, even though there is a VRM fan. That's a very small fan in here, which I will try and get a bit of video of and show that, you know, this just, I've got to do this without knocking anything over. Via magnets, it just, come on, there you go, look at that. Just slots on, and it does then make it quite a chunky boy. But the idea of that is, again, underneath you'll see we've got all these vanes and openings, so the fan in here can try and keep your VRMs and that cool. Oh, here we go. Come on, there we go. Right, let's put that somewhere so I don't knock it over. Little bit of spec coming up. So the radiator fans on this particular one are rated up to 2500 RPM. The VRM fan is also rated up to 2500 RPM, and the pump itself is rated to 2800 RPM. The weight of this is 1705 grams, and the tube length is 450 millimeters, with an internal diameter of 6mm and an outer diameter of 12.4. The radiator material is aluminium. Now the tubes are a bit thicker than usual because, well done Arctic on this. I kind of called out Thermaltake in one of the videos recently for the Stream Vision 360, link in the description below for that review. But they didn't do a very good job of hiding cables. Now Arctic, they've done a pretty good job with the fans, but it's the pump that they really have done well. So you'll see here, there's just a little cable here, and then that runs through your tubing, so it's all nicely hidden. Speaking of their cabling, it's nice that they give you options to try and keep your system clean. So, inside of the pump is where your cable goes, which will control everything. So that'll be the larger connector here, and then you can run everything via one fan header. So that would control the VRM fan, the pump, and these fans, if you so wish. Or if you want a bit more control, they also include a split version. So then you've got your PWM, VRMs, fans, and pump connectors separately. So again, it also depends how many you've got on your motherboard. If you're running like I do in my Dell Super Build, an ITX system, I've got 2 fan headers on that. So the all-in-one is perfect for that kind of thing. So well done, Arctic. Nice to see. You also get a little tube of MX6 thermal paste. We used MX4 for our testing because that's what we use on everything. As for socket compatibility, you've got Intel LGA 1851, LGA 1700 on the AMD front, AM4 and AM5. So it should cover most things. Now, as I said, we tested the 240, 280 and the 360. Now pricing, there's not a lot in it. The 240 came in at £62.49. The 280 came in at £69.49. And the 360 at £79.99. I have seen the 360 go up to like 100. I've also seen it like 82. That one seems to really fluctuate. The smaller ones seem to be a little bit more stable. So shop about, see what you can find. They also advertised that they have a 6-year limited warranty on this. How good, how limited that is, I don't know. If any of you have had any experience of that, please drop a comment to let us know, good or bad. So, the other bit worth talking about is the actual cold plate and mounting itself. So, it's very simple and it's nice to see that it was all metal, unlike others. And when on the AMD systems, the brackets are actually labelled left and right. And when I first mounted this, I thought I'm being an idiot because it the cold plate was not covering the whole of the chip. And I thought I'm an idiot. I had to look online and it's actually designed that way. So what Arctic have done is for a lot of the chips, is this cold plate is offset. So in the centre of the cold plate will be the hottest part of that chip, which does mean some of the heat spreader isn't on the chip, but that's the way it's designed. And it doesn't seem to affect performance at all. It did make me a little bit wary, but I'll show you the results in a moment. So speaking of the results, all the results we used were done on the Dell Sleeper system, which runs a 5600X running PBO and was done in a room of an ambient temperature of 21 degrees. So let's bring up that graph. And in this graph, you'll see the other AIOs that we've tested. On the far left, we've got the Thermaltake Silver Soul 135. Now that is an air cooler. That's the best air cooler that we've tested. That's a low profile twin tower cooler. So you see that's not so bad. Now, once I've run through this, I will tell you a little bit more about the 360 because I did throw that on another processor. So we'll run through this and go from there. So you'll see again, through most of these, going from the ID cooling one with the package temp of 72.5 and the best one of the Stream Vision at 68.1. There's like 4 degrees in all of the coolers we've so far managed to test. But looking at the Arctics, because it also, you have to ask the question, what size do I need? Well, if you're running something like a 5600X, you can get away with the 240, because as you see, the 240 on the package was 70.9, 280, 70.9, 360, 70.3. Not a lot in it there. And then with the CCDs, it's pretty much the same. Sorry, 72.3, 72.3, 71.3. And then the highest core, 70.6, 70.7, 70.1. Hardly anything in it. So if you're building a system and you're not running something like a 7950X or 9950X or a 14900K, don't even look. You don't need to buy the 360 unless it's for aesthetics or you're doing a lot of CPU intensive work. There's absolutely no need because these were all done running a half-hour Cinebench run. When we're talking value, are these temperatures good value? Yes. Yes, I would say definitely yes. The Stream Vision, that was 115, £120. Again, it has the VR info, but also has a screen in it, which pushes the pricing up. So quite a bit more than a lot of these Arctics. So let's do away with that graph, because to be honest, as you see on a something like 5600X, there's not much in it. Now, we are working towards trying to get ourselves a better test bench with a more powerful CPU to do more testing with. But I was fortunate enough, we're at the 360, and the system I built for a friend, that had a Ryzen 7900X in it. So I shoved the 360 in and managed to do some testing on that. And now the 7900X is a potent little chip when it comes to heat, and I was running it with PBO enabled, and I was seeing temperatures getting close to 90. Now that chip can go hotter, so I wasn't thermal throttling, so I was quite happy with that. So yes, as I was saying there, that the 360 version on a 7900X, keeping that around 90 degrees on a half-hour Cinebench run, it's not bad at all. Now that's £79.99. You know, that's not a top-end cooler. It's not the most expensive cooler in the world, yet it performed like you would expect a cooler to perform. It cooled things. It did well. It kept things within the margin that was acceptable. You probably could do better. But could you do better for that price? Now that one I'm not sure about. Again, if anybody else has used a cheaper cooler on a 7900X with PBO enabled and it has had a better result on a 30-minute Cinebench run, let me know, because I'd love to try and have a look at that cooler. So getting back to which one should you go for? Any. Really, is any of them, you'll get decent cooling. Just be aware what you are cooling. You know, if you are up there with a 7900X or like 4900K, then yeah, I probably would look at 360, just because, you know, the smaller the rad size, the faster you're going to saturate that water. Okay? And with that advice, I really should go, because I really need to try and get this media center editor built, and I'm tired of having parts laying around everywhere. So please like, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.